Okay, you're live now. All right.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another conversation at New York City CEFT. And tonight we will be speaking. It says we're still in a practice session. Okay. Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome again tonight to another conversation at New York City CEFT. And tonight we will be speaking about the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. And tonight to discuss all of these things, we have with us a special guest, Sarah Jane Wellock from the Parris Foundation. We have, as usual, Amy Sai, and of course, our newest member, Lourdes Jabode, and we are gonna discuss the STEM thing. So, Sarah, would you mind introducing yourself, followed by Amy, followed by Lourdes? Thank you.
Hello, yes, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. I'm, as you mentioned, Sarah Jane Wellock. I do lots of things in the world, and one of them is I get to be so lucky and work with the Parris Foundation Stimulating Minds program, and I'm delighted to be here with you and discuss it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Sai. I am the New York City CEFT Vice President of Special Education and District 75 Policy. I'm also a mom of 5, all currently in school, and I'm also a parent leader here in the Bronx. So I'm delighted to be here with my colleagues as well as Sarah.
Thank
I
you.
will turn it to you, Lourdes.
Thank you, Amy, and good evening, all. My name is Lourdes Jabode. As Farah mentioned before, I'm one of the newest members in the leadership at New York City CEFT, and I am a parent of a student with an IEP that recently graduated from 12th grade and has started college his first semester, and I am very proud of him. I am a parent leader within my community. I have served for several years in many capacities. But the most important one is being a parent. And that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lourdes and Amy and Sarah. So Sarah will jump right into it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Parris Foundation and what you guys do?
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you again for having me here, and thank you all for your participation and engagement and leadership. It's very inspiring. So yeah, the Parris Foundation was founded in 2009 by Tanya Parris. She's an amazing person. She grew up in the projects in the Bronx, and she really wanted to study STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. She was very interested in technology and finance. And she didn't have a lot of resources at the time, but she managed to get herself into college. She went to Binghamton University. She did very well. She continued on with her academics. She ended up working for the big names in technology and finance, Goldman Sachs, for instance. And then in 2009, she really wanted to give back. And she created the Parris Foundation, imagining that she would give to students from a similar population where she grew up, and she would give funds and support to study STEM. At that time, STEM was less popular, and she couldn't identify a lot of students that were interested in pursuing it. So she created the Stimulating Minds program. And we operate every Saturday. We have cycles. So we'll start again on October 1st through December 10th. We meet every Saturday. We'll skip the Thanksgiving weekend. And in the mornings, we'll be teaching mathematics. And in the afternoons, this cycle will be teaching science. We also sometimes offer coding. I know the students are really into that, and we are lucky enough to have volunteers from Google teaching our students how to code. Super amazing. So yes, she developed Stimulating Minds. Again, we operate on Saturdays. We have different cycles. We'll start our fall cycle very soon, October 1st through December 10th. Any student essentially 5th grade through high school is welcome to join us. And we will provide extra education in science, technology, engineering, and math. This cycle, like I mentioned, we're focusing on math in the mornings, and then we take a lunch break and we'll do science in the afternoons. And we try to make it fun and interesting and engaging. In fact, my title, as I mentioned the other day, is Director of Fun and Magic. So we try to make it really exciting for our students. And then we also offer, and you can cut me off at any point. I don't want to over talk. Should I just keep going?
Well, I'll introduce you to, actually, I'll let her introduce herself. Jennifer has joined us. Jennifer, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Sarah. How are you? I'm Jennifer Goddard. I'm the Vice President of Communications for NYC CEFT. And I've been really vocal in the fight for equity in education. And I think that's really, it's exciting to partner with more organizations that offer enrichment, particularly for students in historically underserved communities.
Precisely.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you for mentioning that. We do that. That's the population that we're looking to reach, although any student is invited to join us. But yes, we primarily serve students from historically underserved communities. Because studies show, right, that extracurricular activities lead to better academics and then better careers in the future. So that's what we're offering, this Stimulating Minds program plus free tutoring. So if any student, should I keep going? Should I? Yeah, okay. Should I slow down?
Well, no, you're fine. So tell us a little bit more about your, first of all, in terms of how you reach out to kids in underserved communities, because I think, and maybe you know better than I do, there are times that, and I'm a former teacher, ELA teacher, and sometimes our kids are afraid of math and science and technology. And sometimes they don't believe that they can. And in fact, you know, I think there's a cycle of low expectations in a way for our kids, and they are not really encouraged to go in those fields. So I'd like to know, what is your approach, or the approach of the Parris Foundation when it comes to getting kids who don't necessarily believe that math, science, and engineering are for them? How do you attract them into your program and keep them into your program?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that question. We do find that students tend to stay with us. So especially when we catch them at the young age, you know, we're open to bringing in students. We actually have someone enrolled this cycle who's in 4th grade, but typically we start at 5th grade, although our lesson curriculums are on the 6th grade level. So when we catch them super early, students tend to stay with us throughout their schooling, because we offer a lot of resources. And again, we try to make it fun and engaging. We also go on field trips. Last cycle, we went on a fishing trip upstate, and we also went to Binghamton University for our graduation. So we really work to engage young people, just like what you were saying. Like, not everyone may have the confidence, especially in the STEM fields, but we try to make it fun. We try to spread the word. I have a huge, big text game. I'm texting everybody all the time. You know about this, because I'm always sending out text. I think I have 400 contacts for the Parris Foundation in my phone, and I'm texting them all the time, mentioning about the different cycles or the different things we're offering. Our cycles are open enrollment, so students can join at any point. We're connected to different community groups. We hand out flyers. We're old school. We hand out our flyers. Now we have a QR code on the flyers, so we're starting to join 2022, but we're handing out flyers in Harlem in our location. And I should also mention, we offer our programs to students live in person in Harlem, as well as online. So students can either choose to log in and join us. So maybe getting to the location or waking up on a Saturday morning isn't enjoyable for the students, they can still hop on if they'd like through Zoom. So that's newer for us.
Sarah, how do families hear about your foundation? What is your criteria for students to join in? And the third question will be, who teaches these classes?
So truly any student that applies is typically invited to our program. So if the student, most of our students are from historically underserved backgrounds, most of our students are in New York, but anyone essentially across the world is welcome. 5th grade through high school. So that's the main criteria. How do we reach them? I think that was Farah's question, maybe part of yours too. We do our best to link with different community groups. We pass out flyers. I'm texting all the time. I'm emailing. I'm always open. If anyone invites me, like here, I'm open to spreading the word about our organization. We have many different resources and we're open to expanding. And we do, like I said, we have a lot of students that are returning, especially when we catch them very early. They get excited about the program and they want to come back. Last cycle I mentioned, we took a field trip, and I think I was saying to someone, like, one of the students was hoping that we had traffic or some kind of accident on the way home because he was so excited to be on the bus with everyone. Like he did, I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea to hope for that. But he didn't want to, he was excited because he got to see a college, he got to go upstate, he got to, be out of the city for a day. So we do our best to engage our students. They often return to us, and then we do our best to cast a wide net. Again, for anyone that would like to join 5th grade through high school, primarily historically underserved students.
Is the program located within the 5 boroughs? Is the program located at a particular location? I understand it is hybrid, virtual, and in person.
It is, and let me tell you,
that's a huge
challenge. So we first quickly transitioned to Zoom, as many people did, right, in the pandemic, and now last cycle in the summer, we welcomed students back in person, and we found that many students also wanted to continue signing in online. So both are now available. Not easy to manage that. I feel for teachers and other people that were managing that for years, because it does have its challenges. But yes, students can log in from anywhere across the world online and or come to us in person in Harlem.
So as I mentioned, when I came in, I'm a parent of an IEP student.
Yes.
That sort of struggled during his school years, but thanks to many teachers who took a like and an interest in my child, and also the support that I provided to him, he was able to thrive, right? So not many students in that type of population have, a parent that understands the system, or someone that fights or advocates for them in order to be able to for our children to actually get, what they need and what they deserve, right? In order to thrive and become successful. So with that said, what kind of supports do you provide to students within the special education, IEP students, so on and so forth?
Yes, we do try our very best to tailor the lessons to match whatever requirements the students have, including IEPs. I mean, everyone learns differently, right? And so we do our best, and we have many volunteers. You also asked, and I neglected to share because I flew out of my brain, but you asked who's teaching. We have many volunteers, amazing people that are there to support our students in multiple different ways. Whether something's coming up for them emotionally, we have volunteers there to support, or if there's trouble, somebody's having trouble with their work or if someone does have an IEP and wants extra help in different ways, we have many people on our volunteer and employment staff to assist. For instance, we have Rebecca, who's on our junior board, Rebecca Harrington, and she's been with the program for about 6 or 7 years. She barely ever misses a Saturday. She's amazing. The students love her. And so I think many of them are coming back to see her. And she's there to support whatever's required, whatever the student needs. We also, I'm all over the place. We have a tutoring program as well. Everything is free, I should mention. And tutoring is also free. So that happens typically outside of the Saturday program. If students are having trouble with something we're covering in the program, or if students are having trouble in their classroom setting, or say a student just is super interested in coding and he wants to pair with a Google volunteer and learn more, we also offer free tutoring. So essentially people reach out to me and mention what subject their student would like assistance in, and then I pair them with one of our many amazing volunteers to work with the student on a one-on-one basis. So that's also available. And we support students, for instance, some of our students are looking to, are at the age where they're looking to apply to college or specialty schools, and we help with that as well. Does that answer your questions? I know there were lots of questions and I'm not sure I got to all of them, but hopefully.
That's okay. We have a lot of time. Amy, do you want to ask a question? Jennifer, Letitia? I don't know, Letitia, if you want to introduce yourself. Letitia is also one of our newest members in the leadership because we are growing. So this is so exciting for us.
Amazing.
Amy, do you have a question? Go ahead.
You put me on the spot there. Sorry, it is mom's life, so I'm a little multitasking, Sarah. So like I mentioned in my introduction, I represent and support families, either themselves have a disability or their child has a disability, and that disability is on a very wide spectrum. From like learning disabilities to just like minor challenges. So with your program, are there things that maybe you can support the student in adaptive, or maybe supporting the families and supporting the student through this program? And also how that engagement looks like, not just the student self, but the parents getting involved. Those are kind of like the two things that
Sure.
me.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we do our best to tailor all of the lessons to match whatever's required of the students, or whatever the students require, I should say. We have a number of different people, and some of them are professional teachers and some of them are community members. So, or, have amazing jobs at Google or different things in the STEM fields. And so they get like kind of different points of view. The students get different points of view and different influences from different leaders in the fields of STEM. So it's a really unique opportunity. It's different than going to school. We really, really do our best to tailor the lessons that we're teaching to the student that's receiving that extracurricular education. And then in terms of engaging parents, I do my very best to keep very actively engaged with all the parents. We invite them to events. So I mentioned we had the fishing trip last cycle. Our landlord of our Harlem building wanted to take the students fishing. And so that was fun and exciting. And many parents came on that trip and they provided the fishing rods and taught them how to do it. We caught a snapping turtle, which was a little surprising. We also caught a few fish and we threw them back. But so parents get involved in trips. We also, as I also mentioned, went to Binghamton University for our graduation and parents were welcome to attend. and Binghamton welcomes us with open arms every year. So as I mentioned, our founder, Tanya Parris, graduated from Binghamton University. She remains in very close touch. She's on the board. She's an alumni. And they welcome us back each year for our graduation, and they give the students a tour, and they give the students some fun STEM activity. This year we got to see a 3D printer, and they got to like use some robotics. So it's typically fun and engaging and tailored to match whatever the student requires.
Okay, anybody else has a question, or should I ask a question? All right, Jennifer, do you have a question?
All right. Yeah, so I was wondering, can you walk us through like what is the average attendance? I don't know if you covered this already before I came on, but like what is a typical event, you know, number of students involved, outreach, and those I'm sorry if I missed it at the top.
No worries. So I should also mention that in terms of parent engagement, I like very openly offer my cell phone number, and parents can reach me at any time essentially, and anything that comes up, I welcome feedback. So I do my very best to remain very actively engaged with any parent that's interested in the program, and certainly parents that have students enrolled. In terms of our attendance, it varies. And of course, we've all gone through interesting different experiences through the pandemic. So when I first joined the Parris Foundation, which was it'll be 2 years in December, our numbers were kind of low at that time. I think we just transitioned to Zoom, you know, everybody was sort of adjusting. And then it grew pretty dynamically. The first summer I was involved, we had about 75 participants on Zoom, which was really chaotic, but fun and engaging. And then it tends to vary. I'm not sure what creates the differences from each cycle. But last cycle, I think we had about 50. This cycle so far, so we haven't started yet. Anybody's welcome to apply. I can, I guess, put in the chat, or I don't know how best to communicate the application. But anybody's welcome to apply. And this cycle will start October 1st through December 10th, skipping the Thanksgiving weekend. Anyone is welcome, 5th grade through high school. And right now we have about 25 students enrolled. It's about half and half at the moment, online and in person. And then anyone else is welcome to join us. I'm expecting it'll probably be around 50 again. And that'll probably mean about 50 in person and, or I'm sorry, excuse me, 25 in person and 25 online. I should also say that we offer a free delicious lunch and breakfast and snacks. So that's a draw too. I think some of the students get very excited about the food. We try to make it healthy and also delicious.
Well, you know, food is always a draw, even for adults. So I imagine children.
Do you know, there's this Dominican restaurant down the street at our Harlem location, and it is so delicious. Like, they have a line outside the door. I can't remember what it's called, Tropical Grill. They have a line outside the door every day for lunch, and it's really delicious and inexpensive. So we often go to them. Harlem Biscuits, which is an amazing company, donated a lunch to us. And we've received other donations and gifts, and then we also cover the costs where required. Did I answer your question, Jennifer, in terms of attendance?
Yep, and then it was kind of a two-parter in terms of outreach for getting those numbers. Like, how do you get those students interested and enrolled?
Yeah, so like how we get those specific students, some of them are returning. So we have 2 applications, one for returning students, one for new. And I can put both of them in the chat if that's helpful. So we just stay actively engaged with our returning students and their parents, of course. And then we reach out to the broader community to the best of our ability. I'm always open to other ideas about that, but I attend events, make presentations, we hand out flyers. I'm always texting and emailing. We have lots of connections to lots of different organizations. For instance, Engineering Tomorrow and Connect You and Google and lots of different groups that are working with us. And so we end up casting a pretty wide net to engage many different people to come to our program.
Sorry. I was wondering, are you a DOE vendor, approved vendor?
Good question.
Because so as a member of the SL, well, I was a Title I, and I think several people actually on this call were Title I chairs. You know, putting together a community event during COVID, you know, I was limited as to who we could have do virtual activities, and they all had to be DOE vendors. So, you know, there was a very short list to choose from. And I think it would have been lovely to have had this organization on that list.
Yeah. You know, no one's ever asked me that question. I don't think we are officially, but I'm gonna note it and find out.
Yeah, and I would make an effort then to connect with the school principals, because
Of course.
if you're a Title I, you know, you have this bucket of funds that you have to use specifically for family engagement activities. STEM is a huge draw. So, you know, couldn't hurt to be on these short lists, you know.
That would be amazing. Thank you for the information. I'll also, is it helpful if I put the application in the chat? Let me do that. So I'm just pulling it up. I can also put our website in the chat, but this is a direct link to the application for new students. And then you can also apply through our website, which I'm just pulling that up and I'll list it. It's stimulatingminds.org. And I don't mind also just putting my cell phone in here because people can reach me directly with any questions.
And besides Binghamton, do you work with local colleges? You know,
Yeah.
Thinking of when I worked at Barnard, and there was a huge push for the STEM program and having high school students on campus during the summer months.
Yes. So for instance, we work with Columbia Community Service. They offered us funding. We went to their networking event recently, which was awesome. And they've invited us to lots of different ways of engaging. And I just was speaking with someone, Joan from Columbia Community Service, and she was suggesting that the students take a trip to the campus. So maybe we'll do that this cycle or next. Yes, we do our best.
Yeah, I can tell you as a member of the Columbia community, it is extraordinarily important to them, to Columbia and to Barnard, to be seen as members of the community, part of the community. So it would behoove, you know, since you are located in their neighborhood, you know, to take advantage of that desperate need on their part to collaborate as much as possible with the community.
I'm so grateful to them. They've just been really, I've not had the experience of a funder being so engaged with us.
Well, it's because, I mean, well, I can tell you offline more.
Okay. It's really amazing. I'm very appreciative.
There's a lot of politics behind it, but it is in your best interest. It works to your best interest, your organization's best interest.
It's been really beautiful to witness and to experience. So thank you for that insight.
So Sarah, I know that you help, or the Parris organization does try to help kids, get scholarships and internships. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the internships. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that, and in terms of how children can end up with scholarships by just participating in your program?
Yes, in terms of internships, it's interesting. I've not really personally had that request yet. A student that's like looking to identify. Well, that's not true now that I'm saying that. So again, I've been involved for about 2 years. The program's existed since 2009. I imagine over that period of time there we have connected students to internships. And I should mention that some of our volunteers are student volunteers. So I'm thinking of this young woman, Erica, who's a senior in high school in California, and she logs in super early in the morning to help our students with coding, along with the Google volunteers. In fact, sometimes she's got to remind us that she's in high school because she's so engaging and wonderful, and the students love her, and she's very mature. So sometimes we forget that she's in high school. So some people end up sort of like almost doing an internship for the Parris Foundation if they're very gifted in STEM and they'd like to help other students. Anyone that's offering assistance, I do my very best to engage them and to place them where they could best serve our students and families. But in terms of like actually identifying other opportunities for internships, it's not something I've done so far. I imagine if it comes up, we would be happy to help. In terms of scholarships, yes, Tanya still has a scholarship. Tanya Parris, the founder, has a scholarship component of the program. So if we do identify students that are looking for funding, if they have a special interest in a certain subject, we are there to support them. And we also offer help in the college application process. And also, most recently, we had Northfield Mount Herman boarding school reach out to us, and they really wanted to engage our students and enroll our students in their school, which when I went to their meeting, they said, listen, we're in the 1%. And I was like, okay. And they wanted to invite our students to, excel academically with them, and then, of course, go on to college and probably succeed in their careers with that really solid background. So one of our students applied through our program and got into this boarding school. And she got essentially a full ride. So that's pretty exciting. I'll be curious to see how it unfolds for her. It's a beautiful campus, and it's a big opportunity for her to excel academically.
Thank you for that. Well, I'm a little curious about your title.
Director of Fun and Magic. Doesn't everybody want that title?
I love it, but I'm wondering how do you actually create fun and magic? And what does that look like, and how do the kids respond?
Oh, I think you all probably know. You probably all have your secrets on how to create fun and magic. We all have it in us. I just am so lucky I get to have it as a professional title. But if you're a mom of 5, Amy, you said, and you're a mom, Lourdes, of a student that's now in college, right after some hardships, sounds like, in his schooling, and Farah, I know you have children, right? I remember you were up late one night. You were up like all night helping your other child with the art. Was it an art thing? So you all know about fun and magic and how to create that with your students. It's not, I have my secret ways, but you all do too, I'm certain. I just try to, be engaging. I try to be supportive. I try to be approachable. I have a lot of energy and I bring it to the program. When I notice students aren't totally engaged, we do our best to liven things up. It's fun to do things hands-on. Of course, that was different during Zoom, but we did our best. We've paired with this program Engineering Tomorrow, and they're going to be sending out kits. So they help us with the curriculum, and they also send out these kits for the students. So they'll get something in the mail that they'll get to some kind of experiment. We'll get to all engage in it together. So there are lots of tricks to fun and magic, but of course, I know you know them too. You've got your own, all of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, but us, when we think about magic, we think about clowns and
Yeah, no, I'm not a clown. I don't do like card tricks or anything.
and tricks, and like my son has an obsession with moving things with the mind.
Oh,
I'm
I like a spoon, like that guy who did that. Yeah, interesting.
And I'm like, I don't move anything with my mind. I don't even know if there's a scientific formula for that or a mathematical formula for that. Like sending energy kind of stuff. So I think my son, because he's not too far from me here, was hoping that you were going to talk about, moving things with the mind and people levitating. And
I mean, if you ask me personally, it's not something I often talk about professionally. I do believe in energy. Like, I think we bring energy. If somebody's like super grumpy, you can sort of sense that, right? They enter the room, it's like, oh, or if somebody's super vibrant, that spreads, it's contagious. So I do believe in the power of the energy that we create and co-create with each other. And I try to bring a high level of fun and magical energy with the students, but it's not like I'm doing card tricks or wearing a red nose or anything.
So with that said, what does your SEL component looks like within your program?
Say that again. I'm not sure I know what you mean.
So the social emotional learning.
Oh, thank you.
That plays into your
yes. Thank you.
What does that look like?
I'm honestly not always up on the STEM terms because I'm not even legit a STEM person. It's not my professional or academic background. And I'm not always up on the educational wording either, the acronyms, but thank you. Yes, we do. I think we just create an environment that shows our students that we care about them. I mentioned Rebecca, who's been with the program for a long time. I try to be there every single week, so we create this consistency. We have a program, I think we're going to pair with them, called Connect You, that tracks students, not only how they're performing in school, but also how they are doing in terms of goal setting and how they're doing in terms of their social emotional well-being. So that's a program we'll likely do sometime in the future. They've engaged the Parris Foundation. They'd like to work with us, and I'm hoping that'll happen soon. And we're there for our students. We're there whether it's online or in person. We just get to know them and do our best to engage them. And I mean, I'm even wondering, maybe there's a way we could, because maybe there's something we could do with TikTok, or I don't know. I mean, I know there's like recording and all that, but how can we reach the student? How can we speak the student's language? I mean, that's always something we're engaging and imagining and approaching.
I truly believe that if we really want to reimagine our schools, our education, engaging the children and actually meet them halfway is very important. So if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, right?
Yeah, and listening, right? Like, I think that's a big deal. I'm thinking of one student who can be sort of challenging. Like, she kind of has an attitude, and when she was in our program last time, I asked her to help me go pick up the lunch, and she just like turned around. This was like mid-cycle. She turned around after that responsibility. Like, after being granted that responsibility, she had like a whole different way of being with the other students, with the volunteers. So it's interesting to just sort of like try different approaches and see what works. Again, doing our best to tailor it to each individual personality.
And just like, I'm sorry, and just like everyone here, students, they are all different. Like you said before, they all learn different, and they all bring something different onto the table. So if when you put everything, all their different ideas, or all their you know, their actions and so, and what the way they learn and whatever, I mean, you could create amazing things, you know, out of the box amazing things.
Yes. And yes, I'm one of these people that kind of has the idea that students, that every student is special and wonderful and probably has something amazing to offer if we take the time to listen and engage, right? And students that are labeled with all these different ADHD, you know, I see that kind of like a superpower, you know, like it's like, you know, what if your wrongness is actually your strongness? Like ADD, I'm kind of ADD. I can focus, you probably noticed, right? I can focus on many things simultaneously. That's a superpower. You know, if you channel it in a specific direction, it can really be amazing. And like, what if we were able to look at these things that some communities or some groups or some people might deem it some sort of ailment or disability? What if it's actually this amazing gift? So I do my best to bring that kind of attitude. My background, I was in an inner city school as a kid. I was in the minority, and I learned so much, and I got very actively involved as a kid in a peer mediation program. And we also did all this stuff around social justice. When I was young, I got really educated around those topics and became very passionate about it, and became a professional mediator based on my peer mediation program in my inner city public school system, and worked a lot with students later in life, teaching them the skills of mediation. So I do my very best to listen and engage. I think anyone that's volunteering with the program, while many of the volunteers are specifically, obviously interested in STEM, they're also clearly interested in helping our youth in whatever ways are required.
I have a question. The little red nose come out when the kid says, I don't like math and engineering. Because I would be really interested. I think, you know, like STEM is a very hands-on thing, but not everyone has the favorite subject of math or science. But I think, you know, once they're on it, and especially with the various levels that people are on, how do you kind of like ensure that it's a fun program and that kids will get used to of, you know, this type of learning experience? Especially this can be a platform for a lot of the internships or even future career development in post-secondary.
Yeah, it's true. Like, and it's not as if it's easy every time to get every student engaged. But again, we just do our best to listen, and okay, you're not finding this interesting. What do you find interesting? And maybe then we can draw some sort of correlation. Oh, you're really interested in this video game that required coding. Oh, you can talk with Sean from Google. So I think it is, part of it is about like discovering what is true for the student, and then engaging from that angle, rather than just trying to force them to like whatever we're covering. I'm sure there are parts of the day, you know, I've certainly received some feedback from some students sometimes, like, this is boring, or I don't want to do this, or I want to go home. That happens. Let's be real. But then we do our best to spice it up. For instance, we also have Ivoni and Aaron. They're good friends of mine. They're from separate worlds, but they each work in personal training. So they'll come in and do some like physical activities with the students. We try to, even if we're covering something that's maybe a little more challenging, say, so from 10 to 10:30, we have like our opening, and then from 10:30 to noon, we go into math, and then we take a break for lunch. So say the student isn't super interested in the math lesson that day, well, they probably worked with Ivoni in the morning, or they'll get to do it in the afternoon, or maybe there's something super good for lunch that day, or maybe the science project will be fun, or maybe I get to talk with them and find out what is super cool for them. Usually at least one part of the day is a good time for the student that maybe isn't so excited about math.
Well, let me say, I know that, and I represent a lot of the autistic students in my population. And they are very fonded, and they're very talented in the calculator. They can play with the calculator all day and put numbers input, and they're pretty
Nice.
great. But I think it's just the, the cognitive and the intellectual sometimes challenges. So I know that there's a lot of alumni students whose you never recognize that they had a disability or intellectual disability, because these are things that was brought to their school classrooms with STEM, like technology. One with my 17-year-old who is in the 11th grade and has a disability with ASD, he really enjoys video games, and he can challenge me any day, and I'm like, I gotta read instructions. But they're amazing kids. I think that this is a great opportunity for them to be challenged and really just go beyond. And I have to say, the business of Lego has really stemmed with STEM or STEAM, like some schools are. Lego creation is like the 3D of everything nowadays. You can make robotics and everything. So
it's true.
It's so innovating.
Yeah, Jason from Google did a whole presentation on Lego, because he like goes to the Lego conventions for fun, and he creates all these castles and the moat and all this stuff. So he did a presentation for our students on that. That is a fun one. And most kids, I mean, even if they're not super into math or engineering, they can get behind a Lego.
Well, I just don't like the little pieces you gotta collect from the floor after they.
And then they hurt your foot.
Yes.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and making sure that students who participate online and in person are really fully engaging in this science, technology, engineering, and math, and really getting them into not the 21st century, because we're already in it, but the 22nd century technology. So it's I think we all look forward to some amazing engineers out there that are create awesome stuff. So we're excited. And like I said, all of my youngest is 7. So this kid loves Legos. Like, he will build anything Legos. But I think building Legos is not just the thing, it's the new generation of building drones and all sorts of stuff. Like, they have such an imagination. I think it's just us adults need to guide them in the right direction so that they have the opportunity and also the access, especially for students that are in the marginalized communities that just don't have, a program like this is offered for free and offered a full day and offered snacks and, everything, and just feel welcome. And just the smiles, I think, is also important too. So
They get to come and see the same faces every week, and they know we care about their well-being, and we're available whenever they'd like. And yeah, we're gonna suggest that they do their math. There's an amazing book called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? I really recommend it in terms of, I should find out the tagline. It's specifically about working with young people with these labels, and how it's actually a superpower. I highly recommend this book. Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? A different take on kids with ADD, ADHD, OCD, and autism. I can put that in the chat too. And I know the author, and I really like her approach.
Would the author accept an invitation from us for a round
Oh,
book talk?
that would be amazing.
Yes, because we have a new we are rolling out a new series in the upcoming weeks called We'll Talk Moms NYC. So where moms will be discussing, the challenges of, parenting and advocacy and all these different things. And those are one of the topics. Well, that is one of the topics that we're truly interested in. So, and we're looking for books to read on those things so we can have good talks.
That's awesome. I'll ask her. She's a fabulous person.
Yes, connect us, please.
The book is amazing. Like, it's truly one of my favorite books because it speaks specifically about students who are given these labels. But again, we can sort of, for me, it was like, I could see how it was true for me or other people I know, like, and how just the whole idea of this wrongness being a strongness, like the thing we think is so bad and wrong about ourselves, or maybe even about our children, it could be really the thing that makes that person shine if you're willing to take a closer look and explore. It's very, very beautiful. So sure, I'll ask her. I'll send her an email or a text.
Yes, please. And I think Einstein, if I'm not mistaken, would agree with us because I do believe he had some challenges. And it's either Mozart or Beethoven also, right? So a lot of the people that we revere today, right, are the people that, if by today's standards, would be considered autistic or, ADHD, OCD, a bunch of labels, but yet they contributed so much to society and our culture. So we only have about 7 minutes left. So I'm wondering, do you ever take the kids to Silicon Valley, or are you planning to take them to Silicon Valley?
That would be amazing. I'm open. I like the idea. It would be very fulfilling.
Yeah, I have this crazy idea in my head that I'm going to take a bunch of kids from the Bronx to Silicon Valley to go see how technology really works. And
let's co-create it. Let's do it together. I'm game.
So if maybe we can collaborate on something like that, because I think although a conversation like ours does help maybe to start opening the minds of kids to say, you know what, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe we can go into those fields and learn those things, even if you don't do it professionally, right? Or we can just play these games, right? But I think if we are able to take them places where they can really see it in action, and they can actually speak to the people who do these things, I mean, I think that would be super cool for our kids. And then they would know, yes, we can, Yes,
I love it. Yes, I support you. And if there's a way I can co-create with you, I'm open to that possibility. Definitely.
Well, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
It just like, there's so many possibilities, right? I think we sometimes get really focused on our day-to-day, and there are just all these possibilities available for our students, for families, for everybody, for ourselves. there's another group in Africa that's been engaging us about pairing with the Parris Foundation and having students from Africa log in. There was a community in a village in Ghana that was going to do it last cycle, and then the internet wasn't strong enough. But now they're pairing with another group, a local group that has a community center with better internet. So hopefully we'll have students from around the world participating. But yes, field trips, worldly events, I'm here for it. I think it would be amazing.
I agree, and I love that. And because in the Bronx is that 10 radius thing, right? It's like, let's get the kids out of the Bronx. Let's get them to different countries, different continents. Let's get them to see different things so that they know what is possible and what they can create in the world. So I'm a big dreamer. I dream big, and sometimes it's like, God, why do you put these dreams in my heart when I don't have any way of making them come true?
You can. Anything is possible. Jennifer,
Anything is possible.
Something about whatever. Jennifer asked me something earlier that I'm not totally recalling, but I'm just remembering something that I was going to mention, which was that we do end up getting students from across the world, more so as our volunteer student participants, but we're open to students being part of the program from anywhere across the globe. And yes, Farah, I'm totally interested in looking at what else is possible for everybody.
Yes, let's do it. So guys, we have 4 minutes left. Any final words? We can go around and we'll give the last word to Sarah. Lourdes, any final words?
No, I just want to say thank you to Sarah for joining us tonight and giving us so much insight about the Parris Foundation. Thank you so very much, and we hope to hear some more.
Yeah, Jennifer, any final words from you?
No, I want to reiterate what Lourdes said, but I did have a question. That's not a question. I want to see if you're partnering with other CBOs like that serve children in the Harlem area, like the Harlem Children's Zone. They get a ton of money from Showtime networks. And then there's another one that's Children of Prisoners, but that's in Brooklyn, and they do an after school program that mentors.
What was the first one? Harlem
Children's Zone.
Oh, right. Yeah, we should. I don't think we're
Yeah, you should definitely partner with them, and they have a lot of funding that they get from Showtime networks. Last I checked anyway, because I was at CBS for 10 years, and that was a big thing that they did. And then there's a great program in Brooklyn called Children of Promise, and it's was founded by a woman whose child was unable to see their father because they're so far away, and the separation that creates and increases recidivism. So she started an after-school program that focuses specifically on children whose parents are incarcerated. But I know she's always looking to collaborate to provide programming. So that would be somebody else in there.
Awesome.
But I know that they have new location in the Bronx, and I don't know if she expanded into Manhattan yet. But something to look into. Children of Promise.
Beautiful. Thank you. I've written that down.
Sorry, I don't know why when people start talking about stuff that they do, I'm like, I wonder if they're doing something with.
That's beautiful. You're a great networker.
That's my communications title.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. Well, now you understand why we are the team that we are, right? So we get all these strong ideas from different folks, and we have actually, I think, almost every county. We even have Nassau, Long Island here. So we are all over the state and the city. So this is great.
So impressed with you all. Like it's just really amazing what you all are doing and what you all are co-creating. And thank you very much for inviting me to participate.
Well, now that you have participated, we're going to steal you to do more work with us.
Anytime. Yes, please. I'm open.
Okay, so guys, it is 8 o'clock. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. And team, thank you so much, Jennifer, Amy, Lourdes, Letitia, Benga, Carla. Without you guys, we can't make this happen. Slowly but surely, we're building this movement. So thank you so much again, Sarah, and we'll be in touch. And everyone, have a great night, and we'll see you again in the next week, I think, right, for the next conversation or the next roundtable. So good night, everyone. And
Thank
kids, do good in school.
Yep.
Good night,
so
everyone.
District
Thank you so
75,
much.
And
Good night,
my
everyone.
Good night.
Good school